What's up guys, this is Corey with the Dirty City Gym, back in another video for y'all today. So today we are continuing, we're still looking at more of the set 7 stuff obviously. I'm starting to get a lot more testing in, so I'm able to try some of these different leaders and some of these different ideas that I've kind of been brewing around and different things like that. So today we're looking at somewhat of an interesting one. I know a lot of people have been kind of hyped on this leader, trying to figure out stuff that works with him and everything like that. But finally I found something I'm relatively happy with the King Vegeta deck. So King Vegeta comes from the starter deck obviously. Has a lot of really interesting abilities and things like that. So let's go ahead and get on over into our list. Alright, so we've got our King Vegeta. So on his front side, permanent, you can't include non-Saiyan battle cards in your deck, so that is somewhat of a restriction, but generally speaking, majority of the cards in the game are Saiyans anyway, so you're not really hurt. There's a lot of like silver bullety type cards that you can't run, like the TNs and the things like that, so those are things you have to still work around, but for the most part, it's not a huge restriction. You still get to run any extra cards you want. And then moving on, activate main once per turn. Choose one card from your life, add it to your hand, and look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to one red or green Saiyan card, or a King Vegeta's Dynasty among them. Add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So this is a really nice effect. It's effectively like a +2 because you're taking one from your life and then taking one from the top of your deck. Effectively, I mean, if you whiff, like, it's really unlucky for you. Generally, you should at least be hitting a Saiyan. There's not energy restrictions on it. It just has to be a red or a green Saiyan, or the Dynasty card. So you should always be hitting off of this. So every turn, it's like a +2. When you think of that, it's like Broly BR in that way, where you're always +2. Except this one with like King Vegeta, you're not forced to attack. You can just activate Maideness, which is really nice. And then his Awaken skill, he's got an interesting Awaken effect. When you have a King Vegeta's Dynasty in your battle area and 3 more cards in your energy area, you may draw one card, choose one of your energy, and switch it to active mode. So the draw one, untap one's not out of the ordinary, but the fact that he's incumbent on having the field card in play is what makes it a little bit interesting. It's good and bad. The good parts is that you don't have to get all the way down to 4 life in order to awaken. So if you just like open a really nice hand and you want to kind of like drag the game out, you don't have to take life off your leader ability. The negative is if you get aggroed down, you're not able to flip until turn 3 because you have to have 3 energy and the Dynasty in play. So those are some things that you have to be aware of, but generally speaking, it's not too bad of an effect. And then on his backside, he has a activate main. Choose one of these, and it's once per turn. You can either choose one of your red or green Saiyan cards in play, KO it, and then your leader card gets +5k in double strike and you draw a card, or you can choose one red or green Saiyan battle card in your hand with an energy cost of 2 or less, put it into play with its skills negated for the turn, and then draw a card. So regardless, you're drawing a card, and it's the same type of effect where it's not necessary for you to actually swing in order for you to get that effect, which is really nice in certain situations. So pretty solid leader. When I first saw him, I wasn't like super thrilled about him. It took me a while to kind of get my head around what he was trying to do and everything like that. But now that I got a pretty good idea, I think I'm having way more fun with it than I was originally. So moving on into the list, first up we've got 4 Raddatz the Oppressor. So this is just a 1-drop, draw a card, 4k, auto winner, and then auto once per turn. When your opponent switches energy to active mode using an auto awaken skill during their turn, choose one of your opponent's energy and place it in its owner's drop area. So this is just really great. It's pay 1, draw 1. It's a 0-5k red combo, which is relevant for us using a rival, which we're using quite a bit of. And then it forces their opponent to play around this if they're trying to use energy manipulation and things like that. So all around a pretty solid card. Then next up we've got 4 Broly Demonic Origin. So this is one of our multicolored cards. It's a 1 red, 1 green, costs 2, 15k. Energy exhaust permanent. If there's a card that is both red and green in your energy other than this card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. And then auto, whenever you play this card, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and places it in the drop area. So this is kind of your energy MVP. You're almost always going to be charging these Broly Demonic Origins. Personally, for me, I like to charge another multicolored card first and then go into the Broly Demonic Origins, but really it doesn't matter. This just lets you not have to like go back a turn. Obviously turn 1, if you're charging a multicolor energy, it comes into play in rest mode, so there's nothing you can really do there. But turn 2, you can start charging these, and then now you're still on 2 energy instead of just 1. So it's real nice, and then like late game, you're not worried about charging these and all that kind of stuff. We can play this off our leader effect if we need to. We're not really wanting to do that super often because his skills are negated. But it's a 15k body that can apply pressure. It's a 110k combo. It's a multicolored card for arrival. All that kind of good stuff there. Next up, we've got 3 Double Shot Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. It's a 3 cost, 2 red. It's a 15k. At the end of the battle, after you combo with this card from your hand, if your leader card is red, place this card in rest mode. This is just letting us get more like pressure on the board. It's good defense for us. Really what we're trying to do is play a lot of cards on our opponent's turn as opposed to our turn. So we're able to keep energy open for counter plays and all that kind of stuff. So this works really well for that because we can just like, it's almost like a super combo. We're just not drawing, so we can just combo with it, put it into play. And then next turn we have a 15k pressure. So it's really strong there. Next up, we've got 3 Mach Speed Kaioken Son Goku. So this is a 3-drop 1 red. It's 15k counterplay. Play this card. Permanent. If a multicolor card is in your energy, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1. So it becomes a 2-drop. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose but one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then, if it's your opponent's turn, choose but one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 15 or minus 5k till the duration of the turn. So this is really strong. The way the ability works is you can just play this and give just one card minus 15, or you can give one minus 10 and one minus 5, so you can kind of board clear that way, or you can just like reduce something down really low, or just kill one thing, kind of however you want to like move it around. Pretty strong card, especially because it's a counterplay, so we're playing it on our opponent's turn. So if they play something, like they play a 1-drop, just kind of like chunk card, then you can counterplay this and kill something else that you don't want to deal with, or lower something else that you don't want to deal with. So pretty strong, and then it gets us a 15k body that we can start applying pressure with on our turn. So overall, really strong. And then next up, we've got 3 Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta Resonant Explosion. So it is a 5-drop, 2 red, 2 green. Double strike 20k, arrival for red, green, and a red. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less, KO it, and you can't play Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta Resonant Explosion for the duration of the turn. So just kind of the staple arrival card. We're able to play this on our opponent's turn. We can blow something up, and then we have a 20k double trigger for pressure on our turn. We can play it on our turn. Overall, just a really, really strong card. Whenever you're playing a rival, you're pretty much playing a good handful of these. Alright, next up we've got 4 Super Saiyan Son Goku. So it is a 2-drop 2 green 20k vanilla. This is relevant for us because our leader puts in 2 drops or less that are red or green, and it negates their skills. So there's no point in playing a lot of stuff that have a lot of things that we want them to do whenever they come into play. So this is just a free 20k card that we can just play with our leader, and we can just instantly start applying pressure, which is really strong there. If they're not KOing these, they start adding up. This allows us to play things for free on our turn, so we can save our energy for defense if we need to. So overall, just really, really strong. Next up, we've got 4 Unstoppable Ambition Super Saiyan Khalifa. This is kind of the same concept. She's a 2-drop 2 green 20k. She's got some permanents that are overly relevant for us. Her one is your battle cards can't be KO'd by your own skills, and then your battle cards can't be placed in your drop area by your own skills. And then wherever you play her, draw a card, or take a card from your life. We're going to be playing her just strictly with her leader ability or the King Vegeta's Dynasty. So her take a life effect is never relevant for us unless we just hardcast her for whatever reason. And then her other 2 skills generally aren't super relevant to us. We do have to be wary. If you were to have her in play for multiple turns, you couldn't use the King Vegeta's leader ability to give him 5k in double strike. That's something to be aware of, but generally speaking, she's just another free 20k body that we can just start applying pressure with that way. So pretty strong. And then moving on, we've got 3 Super Saiyan Godson Goku Energy of the Gods. It's a 3-drop 1 green, 15k. It has a permanent. If your opponent has 2 more battle cards in play, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it costs 1 green, and then auto, sparking 3. Whenever you play this card, draw a card. So this is just a really great, just kind of a generic card for us. It's effectively, a lot of the time, it's just a 1-drop 15k draw card, which is really strong to apply pressure while keeping our energy open. It's a 0-5k green combo card, so all around just pretty solid. Then next up, kind of its partner, is Super Saiyan God of Vegeta Energy of the Gods. It's a 3-drop 1 green, 15k permanent. If your opponent has 2 more battle cards in play, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So again, it's a 1-drop. And then auto sparking 2 whenever this card comes into play. Choose any number of your opponent's battle cards with energy costs equal to 2 or more, or 2 or less, and then KO them. So this is a little bit of good board removal early. You can get rid of a lot of combo fodder on the field, and again, it's just a 1-cost 15k battle card that comes into play, so super nice there. And then moving on after that, we've got 4 Vegeta the Cruel, so it's a 3-drop 1 green, 15k. Counterplay, play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of the card in your hand by 1. And then auto, whenever you play this card during your opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less and KO it. Then your opponent chooses 1 card from their hands and sends it to their warp. For those of you who have been watching a couple of my videos recently, I've been hyping up this card a lot. This is quickly becoming probably my favorite card in the set. There's just so much value proposition out of this card for 2. It's effectively a 2-for-1 trade. You're KOing something and warping a card from your opponent's hand while getting a 15k battle card into play, which is really powerful. It gets past the flex, so you're able to play this against cards that you normally just couldn't interact with, so it's really strong there. Just a very solid card, one of the best cards in the set, and it's going to continue to see a lot of play. Moving on into our super combo, we've got 4 support attacks on Goten. It's a Saiyan, it's red, so we have to play it. Moving on into our ultimate, we've got Super Saiyan 3 Scramble, Raddatz, Vegeta, and Broly. So it is an 8-cost, 3 red, 2 green, 40k ultimate. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose 1 card in your life, place it in the drop area, then your opponent takes 2 cards from their life and puts it in their hand. And then auto, whenever your opponent combos, if the combo cost has energy cost of 2 or less, you can remove it. And that's not a once per turn effect. Also, he's got a rival. Forgot to mention that. That's kind of his big draw. A rival for 3 red and 2 green. For a red-green in the combo area. This is kind of our finisher. The earlier we can get this guy out, like the easier it is to win the game for us. It kind of prevents our opponent from using super combos and things like that. So ideally we're kind of flooding the board with a lot of these 20ks and 15ks and just consistently applying pressure. And then we get out the big boy and then we just kind of prevent them from really able to effectively combo. Also, if we just kind of get them down to 2 or 3 life, we can just win the game just by playing him. So it's very strong. One of the better SCRs that we've seen more recently. It's a lot easier to get out at 5 energy than a lot of people were expecting. I think this card's definitely going to start having a major impact on the game moving forward. So any deck that can play red-green and play him, I think, is definitely at an advantage. And then moving on to our extra cards, we've got 4 After Image Technique, just our good Sparking Negate, minus something 10k, so we can kind of combo this with the Mach Speed. Mach Speed gives something minus 15k, then you give this minus 10k with this, or we just kind of start spreading that out and preventing them from dealing damage to us, so super nice. Next up, we've got 2 Denial of Hope, which is a really great counterplay for 2 red. If your leader card is red, if the battle card your opponent is playing has 20,000 power or less, it's placed in its owner's drop area instead of being played. Really strong for us, so this lets us get past cards with barrier, because we don't generally have a way to deal with those cards, so we can just pay 2 and pop something with barrier instead of letting it come into play, which is nice. Or for whatever reason we don't draw into some of our other counterplay cards that don't come into play, we can just start using the Denial of Hope to kind of get rid of stuff. Really strong card. And like I said, we're not playing a lot of battle cards on our turn, so we're generally going to have a lot of energy open where we can start actually taking advantage of these counterplay mechanics. And then finally we've got 4 King Vegeta's Dynasty. So it's our field card, 1 red, 1 green. It is auto whenever you play this card in your battle area, and your leader card is a King Vegeta card. Choose the 1 Saiyan card with energy cost 2 or less in your hand and play it with its skills negated for the duration of the turn. If you played a card, draw 2 cards. So this is a kind of, again, similar to what our leader does. We're able to just put 20ks into play and then just start swinging them right away. They have no skills, but we're just playing them effectively for free. I mean, this costs 2 for us, but it replaces itself by drawing 2, which is really nice. And then it has an auto. Whenever your opponent attacks the card, you may choose 1 red card in your energy area, switch it to rest mode, and place this card in its owner's drop area. If you do, negate the attack. So this is an onboard negate for us. This is a negate that gets past things like, let's say you can't activate counter, like Triple Flash in particular. As long as you have the energy open, this kind of just sits there, and you always have the pressure for a negate, or the presence of a negate, which is really strong. And like I talked about, we're keeping energy open pretty regularly, so this is always typically going to be live. So it just kind of sits there. You can have a free negate on board, which is really nice. So overall, that is the deck. And kind of like we talked about before, really what we're trying to do is just, play stuff for free on our turn, kind of swing with 20Ks, and then on your opponent's turn, start playing counterplay cards that interact with our opponent, removing their battle cards, warping cards from hand, buffing us, different things like that. And then coming in our turn, we just have this big field of 15Ks and 20Ks that we're just consistently swinging in. We're not necessarily comboing a whole lot unless we're going into a rival. We're just kind of staying low to the ground. While as strong as it is, it's also some of the negatives of the deck. You have to deal with things like Supreme Kai of Time Disruptor. The card really does a lot of work against this deck because a lot of our pressure comes from 2-drops. And then Striving to be the Best Goku is another one that really, unfortunately, deals with us a lot because we don't have a lot of ways to interact with it because it has barrier. So that's where like the Denial of Hope comes in. You just kind of have to hope to get around that. A lot of our counterplay cards are 3-drops, so we can still swing with those and be fine. And then our Goku and Vegeta, those are 3-drops, so we can still swing with those. But our vanillas that we want to play, those are kind of where we get stuck at because those are 2Ks and that doesn't change. So those are things you have to be aware of. You can side in for different things like that, so you're not as worried about those kind of matchups. But as long as you're aware of, that's kind of the negatives of the deck, is that there are a lot of cards in the game that like hard counter this deck almost. This deck has a lot of versatility in the side. You can do things like Chain Xenos. You can side in more counterplay cards, more Denial of Hopes, more rival cards, kind of all that different kind of stuff. But I think this is kind of a great starting point for this deck. I think this is kind of the best application that I've seen for this leader. I know people are trying like veggies and different things like that. I don't think that's quite as effective just because all of your cards are coming in negated, and I feel like it's just better to almost play this like a Kid Coup, where you're just putting bombs into play for free and just kind of swinging and constantly applying pressure. But anyway guys, that is it. Let us know what you think down below, and we will see y'all next time.